a lot to do today. I'm going to go ahead and get started and hope some of the representatives come in. They have a little time to get in before we get started on our community representatives. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. I'm Sonia Lang, co-president of the Rolando Park Community Council. The meeting minutes are posted on rolandopark.org, and we're also recording this session. Okay, so first thing we'll address are the dues and memberships. Cheryl.
Okay. Currently, to date, we have 19 members, $242 in dues, $178.42 in donations, for a total of $418.42. That's 17 renewals and 2 new members.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Lynn for our community updates.
Great, thank you. Let me just. Okay, I just have 2 real quick announcements. Next Saturday, the 26th, we are having our annual community seed and plant exchange. Like last year, it will be outdoors again. It'll be in the parking lot at the school from 10 to 11:30. So drop on by. It's sort of fun. We'll have our table set up out there for membership dues if you haven't paid your membership dues yet. But otherwise, just come on by for a little bit. It's always fun. Okay. And followed by next month, for the first time since 2019, we're going to have a cleanup at Xena Canyon. This picture is actually from 2019. That's the last time. And Xena Canyon is one of only 50 sites this year from I Love a Clean San Diego to have a cleanup in April. So you can register on their website starting April 1st. You can also register the day of, just show up. And the community council is going to try and bribe you with the usual caffeine and sugar to show up for a couple of hours and help get the canyon cleaned up. It looks pretty bad over there, and I think we can make a good dent in it this year. Okay, thanks. That's all I have for that. And then onward, I would like to introduce Dave Lee. Dave is the area manager for the City of San Diego Parks and Recreation Department. Several weeks ago, I sent Dave like a long list of questions that the community had about our park. And I just want to preface this by saying that joint use park is the only public amenity that we've ever had in our community. So we have lots of questions because we just didn't know anything else. So I'm going to turn it over to Dave. And thank you, Dave, for coming for a few minutes tonight. It's just to answer our questions we're all dying to know.
Sure. No worries. Thanks, Lynn, for the invite. Hello, everyone. My name is Dave Lee. I'm the area manager for the Colina, Golden Hill, and North Choice area, and oversee the beautiful Rolando Park Elementary joint use site. It's a beautiful field. We're glad we finally opened it up. It's open now to the public, and soon there will be organized activities. We're closed right now for organized permittees just because the grass is a little dormant. We're just waiting for it to get back and get really established. Lynn did send me a few questions in regards to what the community was, had some questions in regards to the usage of the field and possibilities of having other amenities installed or input in that park. And I don't have all the answers because some of these I'd have to discuss with management. So I'm just going to shoot through the question, and then I'll give the best answer I can get at this possible time. If you have a follow-up question, go ahead and interrupt me and ask, and I'll answer it as best as possible. Okay. So one of them was, can we have a community garden? That would depend on location. As far as the Park and Recreation Department over that joint use, we oversee the maintenance issue of the grass, of the turf and the trees, and also the trash receptacles. There is a hillside there that has vegetation there, but that's San Diego Unified. I'm not sure where a particular area that anybody would want to see a community garden. The issue that we would have with Parker is obviously the upkeep. A lot of times, they're all great. Community gardens are awesome if the people are volunteering and keeping it up. Sometimes that issues at parks, they start well and people kind of fade and go away, and then it becomes the maintenance staff, and so they're a little hesitant on those type of things. But again, the location would really be it'd be better if I had a certain location to where the residents would like a community garden scene at that park. Can the upper level be designated as an off-leash dog park? That came down as a no. They didn't want it to become an unofficial dog park because of the field. However, that's not saying we don't have dog parks at parks. We can always address it, something that upper management will be discussing in further detail. So I can give you probably a better answer later.
I think Dave got muted.
Yeah, Dave.
Oh,
There
sorry.
you go.
Oh, sorry. Somebody had enough of me already.
No, not yet.
Okay, so I think I was on 3. Can we have more trees planted? I'm not against it. Trees are always good. More, of course, location and how it would change the park. We don't want to obstruct any athletic type of activities there if we plant trees. But around the perimeter,
Yes.
that as an issue. I can work with the organization, with your guys' organization to do so. We have a city nursery, so that's a possibility.
Great.
Can a resident be appointed to have a set of keys to the parking lot when the security patrol fails? I know me and Lynn, if I could give you all my keys, I would. Unfortunately, for liability reasons, I couldn't. Then we have another player involved in. It'd be hard for me to say who's doing what, who's opening what, who left things open or not, or didn't open it. Right now, it's just pretty much staff, San Diego Unified, and Able Patrol, who the city contracts to do that. And we've had some issues with them, as Lynn knows, and we're consistently trying to work those things out with their staff. But I'm not allowed to give out city keys.
Okay.
To any city facilities. Can we have more seating be added on the fields? As long as we didn't obstruct the open field play, I don't see that as an issue. The only thing is we'd have to put them down. Location is everything. Where would we need to strategize on where we would be putting them. But I anticipate with more organizations coming out to play that, it's a huge field. We'll probably be running city activities there, like our citywide soccer, maybe our citywide flag football. Other organizations will possibly be running tournaments. I know the school will probably be using it for their activities. Rolando community, if you guys wanted, like another question was the movie in the park. That's probably another good reason to have something out there. We can visit that for sure. We just have to kind of walk around the field and just mark the best places that we can put it without changing the concept of the field. So it's used for open play and for the community. What would be considered a normal use for a group at the park? For example, the PTA would like to know if they could have an event, and the Rolando Park Community Council have an ice cream social in June. That's no problem as long as the PTA is part of the joint use with Rolando Park Elementary. So they can get it for free. They just have to contact Lacey Bradshaw, who's the Recreation Center Director at Colina, and she does the permitting for the field. So I can send her contact information out to you, Lynn, and you guys can have it, and whoever needs to make those calls and do the permits can contact Lacey. But yeah, the more the merrier. Like I said, yeah, ice cream social, same thing. You just have to get a permit, a ground use permit. You can work that out with Lacey. She can give you all the fees for them. And let's see, a movie night in the park, 100%. We do ours at Colina in the summertime, and I'd love to walk you guys through the process. We also get special pricing for the city. I talked to our liaison earlier today, and she said that she would be able to get the same pricing that the city gets. We get it at a discount, just so that if you guys do book and want to do a movie night park, because of that special rate that we get, there you can cancel if you want. You just don't get refunded. Okay, it runs us about $1,300 to do a movie night in the park. You got to pay a licensing fee, and it's about $400. And then the company comes out in the movie, and that's about $800, $835, something around there. So that's I can work with you guys on that if you want. And I think those were the questions, at least the main ones. Let's see. Number 8, what if anything could be done with the OFC spots? I know there's problems anywhere, but started in the field. We would place. I know there's always, when we open up parks and they're not off leash, it gets kind of crazy out there. And unfortunately, most dog owners are great. They pick up after their dogs. A few of them are probably either talking to another person that's walking the dog and forgets that, to see that the dog is out there going to the bathroom, and then totally skips out on it. So I know that's been a problem. We will place more signage out there as needed, and also provide the Humane Society's phone number for the community to report illegal activity as pertains to dogs off leash. We're not code enforcement, so we really can't do it. It's more of a courtesy for staff to go out there, and we just don't have the staff to monitor. I have 18 parks in my area, so it's hard for one or several people to do that on a daily basis, 24/7. So I hope I answered most of these questions. If you have any follow-up questions or comments, I'm gonna open up the floor to you guys.
Well, thank you, Dave. Everything sounds sort of promising. Like, yeah, some of these things actually can happen, I think. We'll just need to talk as a community and prioritize, and then we'll see if we could set up a meeting with you and walk through what we can do up there. So again, thank you very much.
Yeah, anytime. And again, thanks, Lynn, for the invite. Pleasure for having me here. And if my contact, so if you guys need follow up information, go ahead and send it over.
Okay.
First, I have a quick question, or Dave, since you're here, I have a quick question. 2 things actually. One of the signs I noticed at the park had already fallen down today. So is that thing that your security crew looks at and will make note of and fix, or do we have to report that to somebody?
Yes, but go ahead and send me an email. My email is davidl@sandiego.gov. And Lynn has that information. So
I can get it
from her.
I'll drop it in the chat for us.
Perfect.
That'll work.
And then the second thing I've heard is there's been a couple times where people have been in the park and the people have come to lock the gates and they've like gotten locked in. Is there a way that they can like do a sweep or a call when they're locking up, or how's that?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I did talk to Able Patrol, because one of my maintenance worker that works at that park, his name is Joe. He lives in that area and he takes his kid over there, and his wife got locked in. Luckily for him, he works for the city, so he got her out. But he did mention it to me, so I did mention it to George to make sure that the person that comes over does a sweep and goes up in the upper level to make sure that everybody is out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dave, I also had a question. Is there events that can be done in the park that don't incur fees? Because I heard you mention fees, like when we did the ice cream social, and that's a free event for the community. It's not like you have to have a this or a that to go. It's not a paid event. It's like a free thing. that we do for the community. So I'm just curious about those fees.
Well, you can use, it's the park's open to the public. However, when you're running organized activity and you want a dedicated space, that requires your permit. Okay, because then you can't have people say, well, this is my space. Well, you don't have a permit. Another person can go, no, I'm going to be in the middle of your event, because courtesy, obviously you shouldn't, you know what I mean? But we don't always get that courtesy, right? So we make sure that people do have permits, so that when staff does go out there, it's easier for us to enforce. However, not to say it can't happen. We'll work with you guys. I have no problems working with the community over there. If it's something that you're not going to have, like jumpers or a canopy that's over 10 by 10 generators.
No, there's like a 6x4 table where people just come grab an ice cream, and sometimes they hang out and talk, but it's just like a kind of a grab and go kind of thing.
Then you don't need a permit for that.
Okay.
So when in doubt, just go ahead and shoot me an email. If there's an event and you have a question that may require a permit, go ahead and just shoot me an email or a call, and then I'll let you know whether you will or not.
Okay, thank you.
But for what you're describing, no.
Okay.
Great. Good question.
Yeah, excellent.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Dave. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Enjoy your night.
Thank you very much, Dave.
You bet.
All righty. Okay, well, we're doing pretty good so far. We'll move to public comments that are on non-agenda items, and I ask that we keep it to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who has any, public comments or anything they'd like to comment on, or have any questions in regards to anything non-agenda?
Hi there, this is Roxanne. I'd love to make a comment if that's all right.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. I attended the planning committee meeting last week, and during that meeting, there was conversation about everything related to this community must come through the community council, and or it should be submitted into the Nextdoor app. And I just want to make it clear that we live in a community where not everyone uses those or has access to a Facebook group or a smartphone or wants to be a part of Nextdoor app, which as a BIPOC queer woman, I find that app to be extremely homophobic and racist, so I don't use it. So I think us as a community, if we want to be creating a community of belonging and inclusivity, we have to be mindful of those things. And to make an assumption that people want to use those kinds of apps or come to this council and they have to make sure that they're notified of when things are, let's try to be a bit more intentional about how we are creating a space for invitation. Thank you.
So I'm not sure in reference, I guess it would be a reference situation as to what was the situation where they told you, because everything does not need to go through the community council, and in a sense, depends on what you're talking about. We're a support system for our community, and we're like a middle person between the community and the representatives to help get the needs of the community to these our community reps to help resolve issues in the community. Anybody can contact the community reps without going through the community council. So I'm not real clear for sure with what they were referring to, that it has to go through the community council. That is not the case. You can go directly to any representative as an individual resident of any community. So maybe I'm not sure. Does that help, Roxanne?
I appreciate that, Sonia, and forgive me if I'm saying your name incorrectly. I understand that I can go to different representatives. It was the way that it was brought forward in the meeting made it sound like other community members, and I'm in this specific instance, I'm referencing the Kroc Center. They would have to come and we would talk to them at the community council. and that somehow having a conversation with them individually, it just needed to go through the community council, and that the planning committee was only going to use the community council as a place for the conversation to continue.
Okay.
And
Alrighty.
or if we want to make comment or something, to use the Nextdoor app. And my point being, I use a smartphone. I have apps. I specifically do not use Nextdoor app because there's so much racism and homophobia that gets presented on there. It
Yes,
creates,
understood.
it's a really terrible user app. So
Okay.
my intention here is just to be more mindful of how we might be limiting access for our community members when we think that they're just gonna, well, just go use this app or just go to this Facebook group. Not everybody uses those things. And we have
And then-
people all ages and abilities in this community. So that
Okay.
was really my intention.
And then I want to add, and I get your point, using Nextdoor, using Facebook, but I also want to offer that, the community council like I said, we're here to help make it easier for you to communicate your concerns. You can also use email. If you go to rolandopark.org, you can get our email addresses and you can send an email. You don't have to go through going through Facebook or, going through Nextdoor to communicate with the community council. I just want to put that out there for everybody, that we all have email addresses listed if you want to send an email for help and support. Okay. But I do hear you, Roxanne. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
All right. Any other public comments or questions? All right, well, thank you. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started on our community representatives. And so first come is Lucero Maganda for the State Assembly Member, Dr. Akila Weber's office.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I apologize if you hear some background noise. First of all, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Just wanted to provide some quick updates from our office. Our member has been busy introducing bills up in Sacramento. She has introduced about 13 to 14 bills, all of which can be found, and I'm going to drop the link below so you can review. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Additionally, this past weekend, we had a community conversation event in Lemon Grove. The goal is for the member to come out into the community and sort of give an update about what she's working on as far as legislation, and also to meet with members of the community about any specific concerns or questions that might be up. It's been a little bit tough with the COVID cases at the beginning of the year. There was surges, so we were kind of hesitating on moving forward with the in-person events. We definitely wanted to make sure that we were out there in the community, and it was a little bit difficult. But moving forward, we will be continuing to try and do those events more frequently. Our next event, our community conversation, will be for next month, and it looks like we will be going in La Mesa. So I'll be happy to share with you all as soon as we finalize those details about where we're going to be having those conversations. And if you have any questions or want to request a meeting with the member or with any of our district staff, you can do so online. We do have a scheduling system that is set up so that the member and her scheduler can review and make sure that we're getting back to folks on a timely manner. Additionally, we're still working, doing casework in the district office. So if there are any state-related issues, any issues with any state agency, please feel free to reach out to our office. You can call or send me an email, and I will connect you with the member in our staff who handles that specific agency. And if you have any questions, again, I'll leave my contact information in the chat below.
Okay. Anybody have, that went pretty quick. Anybody have any quick questions? All right. Well, thank you, Lucero. All right. The next person I see who showed up was Bruce from Monica Montgomery Steps office. You there, Bruce?
I'm here. Greetings,
There you
everyone. Listen, I know we've got a long meeting tonight, so I'm just going to put my information in the chat. And if you'd like to meet with the council member virtually, I'm going to put a contact number in there to call Stephanie and I'll put the number in the chat. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call or email me. But I know you've got a long meeting tonight, so I'm going to step out of the way. Thank
Oh,
you.
no worries. We have a couple of minutes if anybody has any questions for Bruce, immediate questions for Bruce.
I do. I have my hand raised. This is Jerry.
Okay.
Bruce, can you give us an update on the shooting at Village Green Apartments? You know, you had raised the issue last month, and I was wondering if you have anything else to offer us.
There was some thought that it may have been gang related. I did go and meet with the residents at Village Greens, and they brought up lots of issues there with respect to lighting and other things that needed approval or not improvement, that needed improvement there at Village Green. And so they're trying to have another meeting, I think, this week to kind of go over some things. I did speak with management and the folks that own the facility. You know, it's some of the people mentioned that they thought it should be gated, where you need to you know, put in a code in order to enter into the complex. So the residents there have a lot of issues that they want management to address. But with respect to the shooting, I would probably, you know, get the details from Officer Terry. But, you know, we'll meet again with them in the near future and see if we can't work with management to make some improvements there.
Thank you, Bruce.
Anyone else have any questions for Bruce? Thank you, Bruce.
You're welcome.
All right. Lynn, I don't think I see anybody else. Am I?
No,
Is
that's
that
it
the
tonight.
case? Okay, so yeah, so our community representatives, if anyone comes in, maybe depending on how our presentation goes, then maybe afterwards we can have them speak. But we'll go ahead. Are we ready for can we move on to the next one now?
Yes, we
It's
can.
quite early. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our community discussion on the Kroc Center expansion project. And so for this, we're going to have like community input. And so I'm going to ask that people limit their comments because we want to assure that everybody gets an opportunity to, you know, make a comment towards this situation. And from there, we'll kind of monitor how the time is going. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll hand it over to Lynn.
Okay. Thank you, Sonia. So first, we want to start by thanking the Kroc Center for attending this meeting. And they're going to give us an idea tonight on what the expansion plan looks like for the Kroc Center. And then I would like, after they finish their presentation, for the residents who were at the planning group meeting last week to have an opportunity to speak after that. And then anyone who has questions after that, any residents who have additional questions. I think that seems fair for everyone. Is that okay? So I'm not sure, Clarissa, or you or Raina want to kick off this. And if I've already set it up, you can share your screen if you have. There we go. Okay, great. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let me just start the Okay, so good evening. If we pretend the time change, it could only be, it's really only 6:30 right now in our minds. It's only 6:30. So I just wanted to say good evening, Rolando Park Community Council, and thank you so much for having us here this evening. My name is Clarissa Glasgow. I'm the Center Director for the Salvation Army Kroc Center. And I've been with the Salvation Army 15 years, and I've been with nonprofits for about 22 years. And then I also wanted to introduce Major Rob Burks. He's our Executive Director for the Salvation Army, and he joined us last year. We're excited to have him, as well as our civil engineers are here as well from REC Civil. And then also just to mention that the city contact on this improvement is below, and then I'll have this information too on the last slide. And we've also shared this document with the council, or we will be sharing. So just a little bit of background, make you guys smaller so I can see everything. Sorry about that. So of course, being a nonprofit, we really want to be a good neighbor to Rolando Park. And then I cannot believe it, but we are going on our 20-year anniversary coming up here in June. So during that time, we've served over 100,000 community members from birth to 100 plus. We've done infant care in the preschool, all the way up to celebration of life. And even outside of the center, we also serve 29 partner schools. We do arts, wellness, social services. And then we had an outside group conduct an impact study, and it showed during the first 10 years, we put $30 million back into the local economy. And during COVID, we pivoted. And our admin staff, our recreational staff, they got involved in social services, which is core to the Army's mission. And then we even sent them to other Salvation Army sites. We did door-to-door senior feeding. And then we also, most recently, because people were not able to have memorial services during COVID, we held a candlelight ceremony in the Aquatic Center to honor those that passed during COVID, which was some of our own members, which was difficult. We've also supported the Rolando Park 25-mile-per-hour pace car program by offering the Kroc Center as a location for their media launch, and then advertised the program on our reader boards. We supported the ankle parking on Aragon, which eliminated the lane of traffic into the neighborhood. And then we've also offered up community space to a host of different things, including law enforcement, Monica Montgomery, as well as law enforcement. And I'm just looking forward to the next 20 years. So that's wonderful. We've done these great things this 20 years, but now we're looking forward to the next 20 years. We are the second to last smallest fitness center compared to all our other 25 Kroc centers that learned from us and made improvements. So our fitness center is really closer to the size of a hotel fitness center compared to other Krocs and YMCAs. And our membership capacity maxes out about 5,000, which seems like a lot, but actually most Ys and the Krocs are about 2 to 3 times that. And people aren't necessarily coming every day. An average gym member comes about 1 time a week. And of course, we've never had sufficient parking during the peak times. So this improvement would give us 35% parking. So just a small note, in 2019, there was 38,450 births in San Diego. And the Great Retirement, in the third quarter of 2020, nearly 30 million baby boomers retired. So we as a community center know that we're serving from birth to the baby boomers. We know that we need to be prepared for the next 20 years. So you'll see in 2000, here's our original building. It was approved. That was the original permit. And then we went back, and then February of 2019, this improvement was improved. And basically this improvement is an arena soccer side field with parking underneath using the slope. And then in the front, or the building that wraps around it, is wellness center space. It's 2 group X rooms, it's play care, it's an expanded lobby. Play care, I'm sorry, Chris of Knowledge is childcare for people while they're using the gym, and then also an improved lobby. So this would replace the existing field that sits there. And then here's the front view rendering of that same property. So you see it's intended to match the existing building. So again, that project was approved in 2019, the amendment to the existing COP. And so all the same requirements still have to be kept up with this. What we're asking for is actually an extension for 3 more years. And what happened is that we are working on fundraising to get the final dollars needed for the project, and COVID hit. So that really affected our trust that we're going to pay for some of the project, and that really affected us out there fundraising. And we kind of shifted our work more to COVID and disaster. When we met with the architects, we wanted to be mindful of our neighbors on the hill. And so we talked to them about, so their solution was they wanted to push the field further out, away from the neighbors, and also to put the building behind instead of in front to help to act as a sound barrier. And also the landscape architect wanted to add pine trees to be able to help with the sound barrier too. So in January 9th, so in 2018, the Eastern Area Community Planning Group, they recommended the approval, so for this amendment. And then again on March 8th, so recently we met again with them, and they recommended the improvement again, but they said that we needed to engage more with our neighbors. And I think we did drop the ball. We thought the city noticed them, but it seems like the city maybe didn't fully notice them. I don't know what happened with that. But anyways, taking the onus on ourselves, we should have done a better job with reaching out to our neighbors and not just depending on the city. So we did meet with them on March 10th, and we went up on the hill and we had a great meeting with them, and it was wonderful getting to know our neighbors a little bit more. And of course, going back to wanting to be a good neighbor, we do want to be a good neighbor and we want to be mindful. And I think that's what they're asking for, is to be heard and to be thoughtful and put us in their situation of having empathy and mindfulness, if that was our. So actually today, the development permit for the extension is set to expire. And then tonight we're here with the Rolando Community Council. And then just this next slide just gives you an idea. The project is the red line, and it actually goes, you see the red line, and then there's a wall right there where the back red line is. And then below that, right behind that is where all the pine trees and everything is going to go. And then these are our neighbors on the hill that we met with. And then these are kind of difficult to see, but these are more of the layout that I kind of basically went over. And again, if extension was approved by the city, which is the staff decision, and depending upon the recommendation, and that would give us a 3-year extension. And then again, here is the contact information for the project. And I'm happy to answer questions, but I'm going to stop sharing so we can all see each other.
Okay, so again, I'd like to reiterate that we want to try to keep our comments and questions to, not too long. You have any questions or input from anyone?
Looks like Rosie has her hand raised.
Okay, Rosie?
Hi, my family and I, we've lived here for 35 years. And so we were here when the initial building went up, and we were very appreciative of the whole Kroc Center and everything. And as our kids grew, they benefited from it. So we are fully support the Kroc Center. I just want to make it clear that our only concern was that we were not notified, and Clarissa has taken full responsibility for it, and we appreciate that. And we appreciate too that Clarissa, Lee, and Ryan came to meet with us this past week. We want to make sure that anything moving forward that we are communicated with, that we don't have to go through all of the jump through all the hoops to kind of find out information, because that's been a little frustrating. But we do feel like when they did come out, they listened, they heard our concerns about the sound. I really can't impress enough, though, that we hope that the sound barriers, we understand buildings are going to be used as sound barriers, but we also hope that any trees and that are planted as sound barriers, additional barriers, that they are continued to be maintained, watered for years on end. When the initial building came in, we actually had to sign some papers and stuff so that whoever was doing the building could come onto our property and plant trees and put in water systems and stuff. And they were maintained by the Kroc Center for about a year. And then that was it. So we want to make sure that there's just not a repeat of that. And I've communicated all of this. They know. I just want to kind of make sure that it's on record that these are the concerns that I have as a neighbor.
Definitely understood. And like I mentioned, Ryan and myself, Ryan's going to be coming up on 18 years and I've been 15 years. So we plan on being here for a long time. So definitely we will stay on the maintenance of the watering.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. Okay, I see Roxanne. Roxanne has her hand up.
Thank you. I am next door to Rosie and also had the opportunity to meet with Clarissa. I echo all of Rosie's comments and also want to make sure, recognizing that that it's already been approved, I am actively against this process going forward. Really hoping that the Kroc Center will be mindful of the additional, not just noise once the building is there, but the amount of noise that construction creates. When you live on this hill, everything reverberates into my home, into Rosie's home, into Nicole's home, into Vicky's home. We are four people who live directly next to each other. It's extremely loud. Starting construction at 7 a.m., I recognize that that's city code. To me, really needs to be discussed and come to some sort of compromise with us as neighbors to be more mindful. I work from home full time. 7 a.m., construction sounds, the noise decibels, all of that to me is just nearly impossible to do the work that I do. Additionally, there's the pollution that is going to be coming from more traffic, more cars. How is that going to be remedied coming up the hill? The impact in the air quality that is coming up this hill. Our property is part of the wildlife reserve that's down there, so we can't do anything on our property. So curious about what's going to happen there. And also just this whole notion, we see gas prices going up tremendously. University is about to install some more bike lanes. Why are we not trying to push our neighbors to walk, to bike, to use other modes of transportation rather than more cars? You know, there's hardly any bike racks anywhere in Rolando Park, even over at the Target, in front of anywhere. So we're living in a community that really is not supportive of trying to find other modes of transportation. We're just making it convenient because we all use cars. So I feel like these are things that really need to be taken into consideration. I've lived here 7 years. I don't use the Kroc Center. I recognize that a lot of people do. I specifically chose this house because I got to look at the greenery of the soccer field. I don't mind the sound of the kids and all of that. I like the greenery. I like the trees. I really adamantly do not want to look at the back of a building and solar panels and tree buds that are going to take 20 plus years to grow in. And then we're like, well, we watered them, but I don't get to reap the benefits of someone who's living here right now. Thanks so much.
Roxanne, I can definitely appreciate that. I can talk to Hammond, the construction, and we'll definitely I have all your guys' emails, so we'll keep in contact regarding the hours. Regarding the traffic, actually, I got a great contact from Lynn where I did not realize the city will provide free bike racks. So that's something we're looking into. And we definitely want to encourage the pedestrian. We're actually excited about the traffic calming because we think it will turn us into more of a pedestrian neighborhood. And I've been noticing a lot more people walking their dogs and walking for recreation as opposed to just to get, from A to B. So we definitely appreciate that. And we want that as well. And then when it comes to the environmental, I'm going to pass to Rob or to Raina, because that is more in their wheelhouse, if you guys are okay to put you on the spot like that.
Yeah, I wanted to respond to your comment of during construction air pollution, they will have dust control during construction where they will have to water and follow those protocols. I don't remember your other environmental concern. I think that was the main one, but that should have been mentioned in the MND as well, the environmental document for dust control during construction.
I think her concern was more the exhaust from the vehicles afterwards, as opposed to the during the construction.
There's also regulations for equipment on site as opposed to idling. That's not allowed in certain times where they will have to be shut off, or if there's a certain level, just being cautious of the idling vehicles and timing of them. Those are all per city regulations as well. Should also be mentioned in the environmental document.
But yeah, we definitely, I mean, we've always encouraged the bike to work days, all those different things. So as a community center, we're definitely going to encourage to be a pedestrian. I've always had this thought, I mean, forgive me because this is Zoom, but I feel like we're always more humane the further that we get into in person versus, you know, we get behind a computer or a car and sometimes we're not quite as kind. So of course, as a community center, we always want to encourage people to walk and to use their bikes and to be connected as much into their community. So that's something we will definitely be pushing.
And Roxanne, I want to actually make a comment as a community council member. I'm not sure if this is your first encounter with, you know, joining a meeting or coming in contact with the community council, but that's your comments in regards to Rolando Park community not being bikeable, walkable sort of encouragement. Those are the sorts of input we look for from our community. And so this is what we're here for. We want to hear those sorts of things. We have priorities in January to hear what people in the community would like to see in our neighborhood. We actually just had that. And that's the sort of thing we want to hear. And then we try our best to see and get feedback from the community and support from the community to work with our community council representatives and others to try to accomplish these goals mentioned by our community. So, you know, utilize us in that manner when you know, have input as to what you'd like to see in Rolando Park. Okay.
And also, if I could just add real quick too, the University Bikeway project is going to be starting here in about a year. So going to be about a 2-year construction project from 54th to 69th. And part of that project is that they will be putting in bike racks all the way down University. You already know about the road diet, but there will be more bike racks. I gave Clarissa a little bit of information that I know from the city that businesses can also get bike racks for free from the city. So as that, you know, as that becomes a reality, that bikeway on University, I think you will see more bikes. I already see more cyclists in our neighborhood than I've seen the 30 years that I've lived here. I'm frightened for them that they're on Aragon and riding a bike, but there are more cyclists in the community. That's all. Thank you.
All right. So then I see Sharon up next.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm going to take my hand down before I forget to do that. Let's see. Oh, I didn't do that. Okay. Okay, I just had actually a few questions for Clarissa. They're pretty matter-of-fact ones.
Great, okay.
I'm not really sure what the use of that field is going to be. Is it going to be just for sporting events or anything else? And are there going to be lights and sound equipment attached to the new rehab of that area?
Yes, there is going to be lights. I believe it's going to go from, I believe it's 16 to only 6 lights because the arena soccer is so much smaller, and it's going to be specialized sports lights that are going to look they're going to have the blocker so the light doesn't go up for the light pollution, and it's going to be focused on the field. And then mainly similar as we do now, it'll be soccer and flag football and lacrosse, and then used by camp. So yes, mainly for recreation.
Okay, great, thanks. So also, I wasn't quite sure if it does include a bigger fitness center. Is that the whole reason why you're explaining that the fitness center for the Croc Center is so much more smaller?
Yes, if you look at, go ahead, I'm sorry.
This will be giving us a bigger fitness center at the Croc Center then, this rehab.
Correct. So the L shape is going to give us, so more typical to the other Croc Centers and to YMCA, it's going to give us 2 group X rooms, an expanded wellness center, childcare for those that are while they're working out, and an expanded lobby.
Do you by chance have like a square footage comparison number of what's now to what is expected?
I do. I think it's if I'm comparing just the fitness floors, I think it's more than doubling the space that we have in the current building to the next building, but that's not including the 2 group X rooms.
That's not including the what?
The 2 group exercise rooms. So where you go in there and just have an instructor and do group X together.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. And then one more question. Is there a plan to bring back the library? The library, it was a small library, but it sure was handy when it was there. I don't know if you remember that being there.
Oh yeah, we still have the children's library over in the Arts and Education building.
Oh, you
And we
do?
did open, yeah, we did open it back up to the public. So anybody can, I think it's just members get a little bit more books, but yeah, anybody can go and check out books as long as they just leave a credit card on file.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll have to look into that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
That's all I had. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. All right, so I see Vicky up next.
Hello, Vicki.
Hello. I am happy to be here again with everybody. Thank you, everybody from the Kroc Center for meeting with us. I also am one of the houses on the map there that was provided by Clarissa. So I share a corner with the Kroc Center. I definitely appreciate you guys being open to the conversation. And I just want to reiterate so that the people here in the community know that because the amount of sound that the construction will cause for our neighborhood, we did ask that the south wall would be completed first. So that was such a good idea. I think Ryan had that. So just wanted to ask how long that first phase of the south wall might take.
I'm so sorry. I do not have that. I know the whole project is 10 to 12 months. And I know Ryan said that he briefly gave us a number. I'll have to reach out to the contractor. I don't want to give you bad information, but I have your email, so I can definitely send it back to you.
That would be great, because we're just thinking about, you know, we have a couple of babies that live on this strip, as well as a neighbor who works nights and sleeps during the daytime, as well as with COVID, all of us working at least some part at home. So we are going to be hearing that on all of our, you know, meetings. So if we could just have a timeline for that first wall, when that would go up, Clarissa, we would just really appreciate that. And then to reiterate what Roxanne was saying about the trees, so, and Rosie, we also bought this property for the view, and we love living here. And we actually went to the Kroc Center this weekend to go ice skating, and it was a blast. But we just want to make sure that on top of that first wall being built on the south side first, we would really greatly appreciate any trees that could be purchased at a reasonable height. We definitely understand lumber is really expensive, as well as, you know, live trees, but sounds like, Clarissa, you guys are fundraising for a really big budget. And so we would appreciate trees that are, you know, a reasonable height to provide some level of protection of the sound as well as the view, as what Roxanne was saying. You know, she didn't buy those, all of us didn't buy these houses thinking that we would look at something additional. So we would really appreciate if the trees could be a reasonable height.
Definitely, that's definitely reasonable. And I had that on my notes too when we were talking to the contractor and to the landscape architect.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Of course, thank you. I'm glad you're in front of the ice arena.
It was great. My husband and I went, and we're from New York, and so it felt like we were back home. So it was super fun.
Nice.
Thank you.
Especially nice since the rink in Escondido closed. So now there's even fewer ice arenas in our area.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time we've ice skated here. So we just walked down and it was super fun. So anybody who's interested, it's very cheap, easy, and accessible. Highly recommend.
Well, great. Thank you, Vicki. Anyone else? I don't see hands unless I'm missing it. All right. Any other questions from anybody? Any other comments? Okay. I don't notice any other representatives that have joined. So at this point, we're kind of at the end of our agenda. So if there's nothing else, Lynn, what's our next month's meeting?
Next month will be an update on the University Bikeway project. We pushed it out this month so that we could have this meeting with the community. But the project manager from Sandag will be here next month. This is the first update the community's had since 2018 when we had the public hearing at the Kroc Center. So I asked him to do lots of visuals. Because there's some cool stuff that's going to be part of the Bikeway project, like bus islands. There's going to be one at Aragon and University. There's going to be 5 enhanced pedestrian crossings between College and 69th. The idea is to make this a bike and very walkable community here. So It should be good. Should be a good update. I also want to point out to the Redwood Village people, please come, because I specifically asked him to address the 54th and University Avenue intersection, which is being completely revamped as a pedestrian and cycling safe intersection there to cross. It's being completely reconfigured, so it should be great for Redwood Village as well. Okay. Any thoughts? I guess I want to know if the folks on Harvala feel that they have a good communication line now. If they have issues that they know, okay. Yeah.
Reiterate, Clarissa and her team came, we felt very heard and
Exactly.
respected, and the dialogue is open. So
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. One thing I will say, community councils can't solve every problem. In fact, we can't even solve 10% of the problems that come our way. But we usually know who you can be talking to, or, get you in touch with someone that can help, or they can, we can put you on the path to talk to someone else. That's how we can help. And we, have a forum like this to let everyone have a say. I see Mia has her hand up. Yes, thank you.
Hi, Lynn. I just wanted to know if there's an update on the tree thing. I missed the meeting last month, and I watched a video, and it was discussed that there's a program with SDG&E that they will, if we have enough number of people who are interested in trees, that they will plant them for us.
Yeah, Kara's not here tonight. She's supposed to provide that update, but she's shooting for a very high number of trees. So she's waiting for, I think her contact has to get permission from SDG&E to do this the way that we propose to do it, which is as a community, not just individually. And that way we can jump to the top of the priority line, and they will come out and plant the trees. So not only deliver them, they will plant trees for everyone. So again, Kara's not here. I'm sorry. We should have an update, more information next month on that. Okay.
And then to add, if we want to spread the word in our neighborhood to anybody who's interested in getting trees, that's the helpful part. We need a certain quantity to help get us pushed up on the priority list. So exactly. Part of that is just getting the feedback from people in our neighborhood who want to have trees, so that we can collectively, put that in to get priority.
Right. Oh, Clarissa?
I'm coming to the seed and plant exchange, and I think she was going to have a sign up list and all of that there. So
sure.
If you want more information, she should be at that event next weekend.
Thanks.
If you send me the information on the trees, we can blast it on our social media, and we can put it on our monthly member e-blast.
That would be great. As soon as Kara gets permission. Yeah, because the thing about the SDG&E program that's great, it's not like the city program where you're limited to 1 tree per household. You can have up to 10 trees in the SDG&E program, and that can include up to 5 fruit trees. So if you like dates and figs, it's a good deal. I'm not so sure about the other fruit trees, but but it is a good list of trees. So that's, someone who's maybe starting over on landscaping, or, wants to put a barrier up of trees, could easily do it on this program. So we'll find out. We'll have some more answers by next month, I hope. Yeah.
Anything else?
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, please utilize the rolandopark.org website. We try to keep, information there and contacts there. And as I said, I wanted to point out, we are, we try to help get, as Lynn said, get you in communication with the right people to try to help resolve issues if we can. Okay. Well, all right. Well, thank you,
everybody. It's not next weekend. It's the weekend after. You guys were saying next weekend, but the 26th, I think.
The 26th, right.
Coming this weekend is the weekend after that. So I just didn't want people to show up and be upset that we weren't there.
All right. Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. You guys have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks.